Hi, in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at controlling OBS Studio using Emacs and OBS command, which is a minimal OBS CLI for OBS WebSocket version 5, which is the latest release of OBS Studio. This works on Linux, Mac and Windows, and I just did a video on how you set this up. I'll give you a quick recap. Basically all you need to do is come across to the releases, download the script for your distro, so Linux, Mac or Windows. So you download it, then you make the script executable with chmod +X on Mac and Linux. On Windows, you have to just click the exe, and then what you want to do is move it to a directory in your shell's path. So in this example they're showing you use a local bin, but you can also put the script in the bin directory in your home. The next step that you have to do is actually set up OBS Studio's WebSocket server and create a password and configuration file for the script. So what you need to do is, if I come across to OBS here, come across to the tools, WebSocket server settings, enable WebSocket server, enable authentication, click generate password, click show connect info, and what you'll see up here is the actual server password. So copy that, and then what you need to do is switch across to .config obs command.toml and put in obs_ws password equals double quotes and the password that you just generated. So that's the setup. So we've got everything set up. This script only has a minimal API supported. So these are the options that we can use. OBS command scene switch, the name of the scene, switch camera front, toggle recording, stream start, virtual cam start, replay toggle, replay save, and just show some info. What I'm going to do is show you how we can actually switch scenes with Emacs. So what I've got here is a org file. First of all, what we have up here is the startup content, and this is an important section we need here. Property header args results silent. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be executing org babel source code blocks to run the command, and we don't want the results being output into the org file, because typically what will happen is when you run an org block, it's going to create a secondary block underneath with the results, and we don't want that. So that's the setup, and then what we've got is a series of headings, and under each of these headings we've got like record, laptop, monitor and video, and what these are scene names basically. So if I switch across to the monitor, I'll switch back to the OBS Studio and show you the screen names. So what I'm going to do is, instead of running this command on the command line, obs-command scene switch monitor, and the reason why that's a pain is because there is no auto completion with this script for these options or the scene names. So you actually have to type out, you can type out OBS command and tab that, but there's no tab completion for scene or switch. So you have to type that out manually, and then manually type out the name of the scene that you want to switch to, which obviously isn't a quick way to do things. So by having a org file like this, I can just put my cursor here and execute this source code block with Control-C, Control-C, and it's going to run this command and switch to the monitor scene in OBS Studio. There we go. So what you can see here is we've got three scenes: laptop, monitor and video. And what I've actually done to make the scene transitions much snappier is set the scene transition to cut. So you can see these are the three scenes that I just created: laptop, monitor, video. So what I'll do is switch back to OBS, to Emacs, Control-C, Control-C. So what you'll see here down in the mini buffer is set current scene laptop results OK. Right, and you can completely hide the output, so nothing shows in the mini buffer, but I feel like you actually kind of want to know something's actually completed. There's two options we have. We have results silent, and this gives this output like this. You can also do results output silent, but the issue with that command is that it then puts the text on multiple lines. So this text would be spread over 3 lines, which sort of increases, makes this pop up, and that's a bit annoying. So that's why I've got it set up like this. So again, all I need to do is switch to the monitor like that, come back here, switch to the laptop, I'll come here and I'll switch to the video scene, which has got a media source showing Big Buck Bunny. And I'll switch back to the laptop there. So this is really nice because what we're basically doing is creating a wrapper around this script using org source blocks. So what we can do is execute the commands a lot faster than manually typing them out in the terminal. What this also does is actually gives us the ability to map out the recording and the scenes that we want to go through as we're doing the video and easily switch between them. So I can put some notes here. I can go, this is the laptop screen. This is the second monitor. A Big Buck Bunny. So what it does is actually kind of gives you a way to integrate OBS Studio into Emacs and your recording setup, so that you can actually come across and have scenes set up, talk a bit, switch to a particular scene, switch to another monitor, switch to a video source, that sort of thing. Dead simple to use, no coding involved. There is a OBS should have a link to OBS Studio. Yeah, okay, it's the one. So about 2 years ago, Sasha Chua knocked up a script called OBS WebSocket -el, but unfortunately this only works with OBS WebSocket version 4, which was a plugin that you could manually install in versions before OBS Studio 28. In OBS Studio 28, there is a new WebSocket version 5, which has a different API. So this script, unfortunately, doesn't no longer works. So that's why I was looking for a way to kind of replicate this in Emacs, but the problem was that there wasn't a script to actually do it. There was a script called obs-cli, okay, obs-cli, but again, this only works for version 4 of the OBS WebSocket. So this script will no longer work in OBS 28, 29, etc. So this is the OBS command script, and this is the only one I've actually found that currently works with OBS WebSocket 5. Dead simple to install, but as I said, it's just got a minimal API that is supported, and there is no auto-completion for the options or the scene names. So that's why it's a bit of a pain to type stuff out on the command line to actually switch. In the previous video I did, I actually tested whether these commands would work with Wayland global keyboard shortcuts, and they do. So what you can do is go to your settings, create a new keyboard shortcut, put in OBS scene switch and the name of a scene and assign a keyboard shortcut to it, and you'll be able to use that global keyboard shortcut to switch scenes, or you could toggle recording, stream start, virtual cam start, that sort of thing. So it also works with Wayland perfectly, but as I said, it's just very minimal at the moment, so there isn't a great deal you can do compared to some of the other clients that are supported. So that's why I wanted to have the ability to use Emacs, because as I said, typing this out on the command line is a pain because there's no auto completion. And again, if you have long scene names, it's going to be a pain because you'd have to manually type them out. So what this allows you to do is just have a org file, whacking some titles for the different scene names, and I mean, it couldn't be simpler. Once you can see here, I can toggle recording. So if I was to run that, it would stop the recording, which I won't do. But if I want to, play Big Buck Bunny, all I have to do is come across here, Control C, bang, straight away. Switch back here. So that's great. Makes it really easy to, switch between stuff, and sort of, actually lay out your scenes in an order that you want to go through stuff. So you actually got a simple way of sort of structuring your video, and then actually being able to easily switch between the scenes. Come across here, monitor, I want to show OBS Studio, bang bang, there we go, OBS. I want to switch back to the laptop, want some more Big Buck Bunny, voila. So dead simple. And said what I also did was, if I switch back to the monitor, I mentioned this in the previous video, but to make the switching scenes a lot faster, what you can see here is I've set the scene transition to cut, because then it's instantaneous. So let me just switch back to the laptop here, and there is no difference in speed running these commands from within Emacs as opposed to on the command line. In fact, they're fast. It's faster because you don't have to type all that out. So if I switch across to the terminal here, if I want to switch scenes on the command line, I'd have to type obs command scene. If I press tab, no completion, so I'd have to type scene switch. And again, there's no completion for any of this. Monitor, and then laptop. So that's why it's a pain on the command line. And in this instance, using Emacs is going to be a lot faster. The other thing I should mention is you don't want to use asynchronous commands with this. So there's a package, get what it's called, async. Get the actual name of it. But what you can actually do is run async t on source code blocks, which executes them asynchronously in the background. But that actually takes longer. So there is a delay if you do that. So that's why we're not using asynchronous commands, because there's no need for it. The command's going to execute instantly, and it's not going to hang OBS Studio. So that's all you got to do. Install it, put it in your bin directory. The other thing I should mention, .config Emacs init.el. Where have I put it? Down the bottom. there's a bit of code you can use. Yeah, shell path, this one here. By default, Emacs tends to look in just standard locations for binaries on your system, like user bin, user sbin, that sort of thing. What this chunk of code does is it actually adds all the directories from your shell path so that they're available in Emacs, so that it will pick up binaries in my bin directory or user local bin or local share bin or whatever it is. It will pick up all the binary locations. So that's another thing that you may want to look at getting this set up. But it's dead easy to install. I presume it should work the same on Windows. And again, this is just a nice wrapper around this so that you can actually easily switch scenes, toggle cameras, that sort of thing, and have it all in an org file. You could name these source code blocks, but it's not actually necessary because we're not outputting any results into the org document. When you run source code blocks, it will typically put a results block in here, and if you name them, it will name the results block so that it matches the source code block up here. So if this was called name laptop, the results would be called laptop. But we don't need to do that. That'd just be more typing and it'd be unnecessary. So we can just have little headlines like this, blocks of code. The other thing that we could do is, you can see what we're doing here is we're running OBS command scene switch laptop, scene switch monitor, scene switch video. What we could do is actually simplify this using no-web. So that's the next thing I'm going to take a look at, is you can create a no-web block and pass in a variable to it and have it execute the source code block. So what we can do is we can actually create one source code block called OBS command scene switch, and it would accept a sort of variable. And then what we can do is we can simplify these blocks so that we just pass in the name of the scene that we want to switch to, so that we're not constantly repeating ourselves. DRY, don't repeat yourself. Keep it simple, stupid. We can, instead of typing OBS command scene switch, we can simplify this so that we're actually using a no-web block and then just passing in the actual scene name. So that's the next thing I'll take a look at to ramp up the Emacs and OBS Studio integration. So what I'll do now is I'll quit the video, and I'm going to do that by toggling this source code block, OBS command recording toggle, and I'll put links to all this under the video.